Hey guys, thanks for joining me. In today's video, I'm gonna be talking about push-ups and how you can do more. So I'm gonna be coming from this from a few different angles for any of you that are struggling to do sort of 0 to 10 push-ups, or fairly new people that find the push-up a challenge. Maybe they can't do any, to a few people that literally struggle to do more than 5 or 10. Then I'm gonna be going into people that can do sort of between 10 and 25. And then we're gonna be looking at people that can do 25 plus 30, 40 push-ups in a set maybe. And I'm gonna be coming out on what we can do to hit those certain things, how many sets and reps, and how often we should be training, so you guys can come away with this with all the information you need on how you can improve the number of push-ups that you can do. If you like more calisthenics content and fitness content in general, please make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you get notified of whenever I upload. And if you took value from this video, please give it a thumbs up. It doesn't cost anything to you, but it does really help the channel to get spread out there on a YouTube algorithm. With that out of the way, guys, let's jump into the video. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is push-ups, how to do more for people that can do, are struggling to do any, and people that maybe can work up between 5 and 10 reps. But still, the push-up in general, the traditional push-up, is a struggle. What can we do to help those sort of people? So the first thing we can do is what to do to train for them. So the first thing is we're going to be using easier push-up progressions. So the best way to look at this is you have a couple ways in which you'll do it. Some people will promote doing the push-ups from the knees, and although it is a fairly handy way, it kind of works in what it's doing. You're limiting the amount of weight that your body then has to push with the upper body, and it's an easier variation from the traditional push-up. The problem I have with it though is it isn't as easy to scale. It isn't easy to make it progressive or regressive. It isn't as easy to know exactly how much of your body weight you are actually pushing. And it also doesn't incorporate using your core or using your legs. And obviously if you're doing the push-up, what you really want to be doing is engaging your core like you would if you were doing a plank, really engaging it and getting it tight. But you also want to learn on how to engage your lower body. So contracting your glutes, contracting your quads, making your legs really, really tight. Because what we want to do is we want to be able to transfer energy from our upper body and our lower body. The reason being is our feet and our legs and our hands or upper body are connected to the floor. We want to transfer energy efficiently all the way through it. We want to make our body tight and rigid. And it's a lot easier to do that if we're doing a leaning version of the push-up as opposed to one from the knees. So what you want to be doing is doing an easier version of the push-up, an easier variation, and you want to be building them up step by step. So one of the easiest ways is to do a push-up maybe if you're against the wall. If you're someone that's very, very deconditioned, doing push-ups against the wall may be a good thing to do for you. And as you get stronger, what you want to be thinking about doing is having that vertical position and slowly tilting the body into a more of a horizontal position, which is going to be looking more towards a normal push-up position. But what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing step by step. So we want to find a progression that we can do maybe a couple of reps, maybe 5 reps with, whether that's leaning against the wall, whether it's, you know, on the stairs, whether it's a certain set of chairs that you have at home that are at a certain height that you can do the push-up, where maybe you can do 5 reps with it. What you want to do is you want to stay there until you're able to do, say, 10 reps. And then what you want to do is you want to move to a lowering position. So one way in which you can do this and make it very progressive is to use it with rings. Each of the rings have a numbered strap, and you can change the angle of your body, which is going to make the exercise easier or harder, because obviously you're changing the amount of weight that is actually into your legs, which is going to allow how much of the upper body or the movement that your upper body has to then move. And as you get more horizontal, more of your body weight is to be able to do the movement, more weight is having to be moved by your upper body. So you will progressively get stronger by moving it. What we want to be doing is you want to be maybe doing 3 sets of 10 reps of this. The reason why we're doing 10 reps is because it's enough reps, enough volume with doing 3 sets that you're able to learn the movement, because part of the strength that we're going to be getting from here is actually getting efficient within the movement, training our central nervous system to be efficient, to turn the muscles on at the right time, and everything that goes into creating that efficiency within the central nervous system. We need to have enough reps to be able to learn that movement. It's not too hard that it's going to be too taxing, but we're not doing too many reps that we're going to be burning out and it ends up being more of an endurance work. It's still a good number that we can aim for, but it's a nice easy round number that people can aim for. 10 is a good number to go for. We're going to be doing 3 sets of them. Once you hit that progression and you can do that many, move down to the next progression or the more harder variation of the push-up. And we're going to be doing this 2 to 4 times a week, but it all depends on your recovery. If you're able to do this more often, do it. If you find that you are someone that does these push-ups and you find you get DOMS or you ache, or when you try and do push-ups sooner, the strength isn't there, take longer rest. But this is going to be judged on how often you can train depending on what your recovery is. What you're going to be doing is you're going to be doing these progressions, building up the strength, building up the muscles, building up the connective tissue, the ligaments, the tendons, all of these different things. You're building it up. So once you get to the proper push-up, you've got a really good base level of strength and fitness to be able to progress from there. And once you've built that and done that amount of volume, when you come to the normal push-up, you will find these things a lot easier. The general push-up will be a lot easier, and it will allow you to build onto what the next stage is for people. One thing that I do want to slightly point out is if you are still finding that you are doing the standing push-up, and even that is still really challenging for you, maybe you're someone who is very deconditioned, maybe you're someone that's overweight, maybe you're someone that's coming back from an injury or any of these different things, what you might find is if that sort of leaning push-up is still too hard, try doing a bench press. Even if it's just lying on the floor and just doing a bench press with your hands to get used to doing that movement, maybe using even really light bottles of water. You know, a liter of water weighs about 1 kilo. You might find just using some bottles of water, maybe even some canned food or something like that, just lying on the floor and doing some bench pressing with some really, really light weights, maybe even some really, really light 1 kilo, 2 kilo dumbbells. That is still better than nothing if you're finding the lean-to walls uncomfortable, not easy to do a full range of motion or too challenging. Then try just lying on the floor, ideally a bench so your arms or elbows can go back behind you, and try doing some of them because that will actually help you maybe even build up to those sort of walls, or maybe a decent vertical push-up. So that's something that I want you guys to be aware of as well. So if you find yourself, you're in a position where you can do maybe 10 to 25 push-ups, so you've got a good level of push-up strength, you might be able to do 10, 11, 12 good solid reps, but you're finding that you can't go any further, or maybe you're finding you can get up to about 25 and you're starting to stall. So once we're here, what we want to be doing is you want to be doing more volume, okay? Because what we need to do is the more volume we do, it's a great driver for building muscle, but also it's the more we do something, the better we get. And if we can do more volume, it's gonna allow us to actually increase the numbers we're doing, because obviously once we start pushing up towards, 15, 20 reps, we are actually looking into sort of that more endurance range of where we're actually increasing the muscular endurance of our muscles, the efficiency of our muscles to be able to get rid of that lactic acid or that burn sort of thing that you're feeling when you're going up. That is basically there to try and slow you down. But if we can improve the efficiency of your body, getting rid of that lactic acid and bringing in more energy, the efficiency of your muscles, and also the strength, that obviously if you can get stronger within an exercise, you tend to be able to do more of it at that chosen weight, or obviously our body weight. So what we want to be doing is doing more volume, and one way in which we can do that is also by doing grease to groove. And what I'll do is I'll explain what grease to groove is here. So what we want to do is something like 50% of what our actual max is, and we want to be doing that throughout the day. So again, if you're someone that can do, say, 16 push-ups, that is your max. By doing, say, 8 reps, maybe even 7, but no more than 8 reps, 50% of what your 1 rep max is, and you do that, you do proper good solid form, because that's what we want through all of these phases, whether we're doing the easier variations of what we're doing. Don't just think, bang out the reps, try and go through the reps as fast as we can. We want to be having good control throughout the whole entirety of the rep, the lowering phase, the eccentric and the concentric phase, but also the pause at the top of the bottom. We don't just want to be banging up and doing loads of quick reps and just going through the motions. We want control throughout. So what you want is good 8 reps, no more than 8 reps, and what you're going to be doing is that throughout the day. Whether you do that every 15 minutes, every 20 minutes, every half an hour, every hour, maybe it's something every single time you go through a doorway, you drop down, do some push-ups, maybe every single time you're watching TV or you're doing something at work, you take multiple breaks throughout the day to do a set of push-ups, and maybe you might end up doing 10 sets, 15, 20 sets throughout the day. That amount of volume is going to quickly add up, but you're not going to fatigue, you're not building it up where it's too intense in one go that it's actually going to hit your recovery quite hard. And with like grease to groove, it's something you're actually nearly able to do every single day. Part of the reason why it was sort of designed was to help people reach these numbers for the military. So for some of you, you may be wanting to get up to these higher numbers because you want to be able to hit a certain bar, a fitness goal, whether it's for the forces, the army, whatever you're going for, maybe the police, different things like that, where they have set a criteria of how many you've got to get. Grease to groove is a great way of doing that. So you can pick, if you're doing 10 sets a day, you could be doing 80 push-ups every single day. If you do that every single day, week after week, month after month, that's a lot of volume. It's going to quickly increase the numbers that you're doing, but the efficiency is going there, and you're doing it multiply when you're fresh, which means you're able to do it with your central nervous system primed and ready to go, and you're creating that battle ready sense of your body where you're ready to go multiple times a day, but you're not going to that fatigue. So it's a great way of doing that. The next thing you can do is actually you can set a goal number of what you want to go for starters, whether for here you might say I want to hit 50 push-ups a day, maybe 100, maybe 75, whatever it is. That might be your goal initially, and it's just about hitting a certain volume count, the amount of reps you're gonna, which is a good number more of than what you can do in a maximal set. So the more that you do, the better you're gonna get. You're gonna be building up that muscular endurance while doing it. And then once you can hit a certain number, your next goal is gonna be, okay, how can I beat how many sets it can go? So maybe let's say you're doing 50 reps in a day, and maybe you've broken it down where you're doing, 5 sets of 10. Your goal might be then go, okay, I can do it in 5 sets, maybe work towards doing it in 4 sets, maybe 3, maybe 2, and you start seeing how many you can beat it in. If you are going for that approach, don't go to fatigue every single set. Have a goal plan of what you're going for, because you might go, all right, then I'll do a max set however many, and let's say you get a 15, and then because you've hit fatigue, your subsequent sets are likely to drop. So it could be a 15, could be a 10, could be an 8. Where if you sell yourself a little bit short, so instead of going to 15, where you know that's where you burn out, maybe you go to 12, maybe you go to 13, you might be able to keep those numbers higher. So you might be able to do 3 sets of 12 as opposed to, a 15, a 10, and an 8, because as you hit that burn, your sets after that really start to decline, especially if you keep going to fatigue on every single set. So that's one way in which you can do it, and your goal is to try and beat or limit how many sets it takes you to hit that goal count. And then once you get to a good number, you might go, okay, what I'm gonna do there is increase the overall number and then repeat that process. With the how often you want to be doing it is 2 to 4 times a week. Again, it's gonna be depending on your recovery. Like I've mentioned here, you could do, say, a goal of 100 reps, but because 100 reps is a lot more volume, you might find that you might not be able to do that as often, and you might only be able to do that 2 times a week. Where if you went, my goal is to do 50 in a workout, you might be able to, because it's less volume, your body might be able to recover from that. You might be able to do that 4 times. So again, have a look at what your recovery is, have a look how much volume you're doing, and see how long it takes your body to recover from that. So the next thing we're gonna be looking at is if you're someone that can do 25 plus. Once you're able to do 25, 30, 40, maybe 50 in a set, you have to look at where do you want to go from here? Do you want to increase your numbers so you can do bigger number of push-ups in a single set? Or do you want to start making it so, okay, I want to make the push-up more towards building more muscle, building more strength, just getting more powerful, whatever it is, you have to start looking at what is your goal once you get to this point. Because like I said, once you start getting around these numbers, you're not really focusing so much on strength anymore. It might be more of an endurance adaptation, and then getting more efficient endurance results if you continue just to do more and more reps sort of thing. So what you want to look at is, what do we want to do to train a push-up? Okay, do we want to pick a harder variation? So it could be, are we going to move from a traditional push-up to a close grip push-up, which is going to then make it more challenging? Are we going to look towards working towards maybe the planche push-up? Again, whether you work towards a pseudo planche push-ups or you're strong enough to work towards that, you could possibly, if you wanted to, move into adding in some dip work to then actually strengthen those similar muscles that are used in the push-up. And obviously, as you get stronger, you might then find the push-up is easier just because you've trained your muscles to be stronger. Your next option is to move into sort of possibly weighted push-ups. If you're used to doing your body weight and you're able to crack out 30 push-ups, you put some weight on 10, 20 kilos or something, and you're down to like 10 push-ups, and you start building up that frequency, maybe like here, doing more volume, maybe doing more grease to groove, maybe just having a goal, a number that you want with those push-ups. Then you start getting up to 20, 30 plus in a set with that weight. If you were to then take that weight off, the amount of push-ups you're going to be able to do in a set is going to vastly increase, because now your body's lifting a lighter weight. It's like doing shadow boxing with dumbbells. You start punching around, feels slow, sluggish, but as you get stronger, you can move fast. As soon as you put those dumbbells around, you're swinging your hands around because your body is used to a heavier load. And once it has a lighter load, it's able to bang them out for fun. So you could move down that road. Again, you can then possibly go into higher volume rep goals. So again, whether you want to do 100 rep a day, maybe 200, maybe you have a certain period of time where it's like, I've got 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and I want to hit a certain rep count, and you're just going to keep going to failure. You might do 3 or 5 sets and you go into failure. You're really trying to get the volume in, because if we're trying to work on increasing our endurance, we want to be doing lots and lots of volume. We want to be doing it often, and we want to limit the amount of rest that we're having. You could be having 30, 60 seconds, all about increasing that our body's ability of getting rid of waste products, bringing in new fuel, maybe increasing the amount of fuel that we have to make our body more efficient, and just getting more efficient within that movement. So you want to be having limited rest. Another way in which you could go about that is possibly doing the grease to groove style, and all you're doing is just dramatically increasing the amount of volume that you're doing, and you're just doing more during the day. So again, if you can do 50 or 40 40 in a set. You could be doing grease to groove where you're doing 20 rep sets and you're doing multiple a day. You could be doing 10 a day, so that's 200 reps in a day. If you're doing that multiple times a day, every single day, that amount of number is gonna quickly add up and the amount of volume you're gonna be going is gonna quickly go up. So how often are we gonna be able to do this? We could do it 5+ days a week. If we're doing grease to groove, it could be every single day, week after week. But this is dramatically gonna increase our number. But once you get to this point where you're able to bang out a good amount of number, 25, 30, 40, 50 plus in a set, you then have to ask yourself the question, do I wanna keep increasing my muscular endurance and my efficiency, or do I wanna start moving to more harder progressions where possibly I wanna start testing my strength or picking more efficient manners? And if your goal is to just putting on overall size or strength, you might wanna pick a more efficient manner. But these are different things that you could possibly go into. But whatever you're going through, make sure that you're not just going through the reps and just banging out through the reps just for the sake of it. You want control while we're doing this, especially once you're in a beginner, because you want to make sure that you have that control so you reduce the risk of injury, but you want to make sure that you're controlling it so the tension is in your muscles and it's not in your connective tissue and you're not using momentum just to go through the phases. Control, especially during these things. And like I said, with a lot of the how often do you want to do it, you're going to have to see how much volume you're doing and what your recovery is to that and how often you can do it. You know, a lot of the time, the more often you do something, like anything, the more often you do something, the faster you get it, the more efficient you get it, the better you learn. So you're gonna have to play with that to see how your body feels with it, guys. So I hope this gives you enough information on, if you're doing push-ups, how you can do more of them, how you can increase the number of push-ups that you're doing. And obviously depending on where you are, because it's a very generic thing to say is how to do more push-ups, but it's always gonna depend on what your skill and strength level that you are coming at, asking this question, where you're coming from. It's gonna be different on how you're gonna attack that, guys. So guys, I hope you found this video useful. Please give the video a like if you did. If you know anyone that may find this video interesting, or it may help them, or maybe they're in the same position as you, please give this video a share with them. If you want more calisthenics content or any fitness in general content like this, make sure that you subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get notified of whenever I upload. And if you have any questions for this video, maybe creating more of a question for you, just want more information, please comment down below and I'll do my best to help you out. With that out of the way, guys, I'll see you in the next video.